ask the question today, what can we do to make Quebec great again? Starting on my left, we have Simon Gaudreault. He is a senior economist at the Canadian Federation for Independent Business. Welcome to the show. Great to have you here. Next, we have Jessica Glazer. She's a headhunter and recruitment specialist. And, of course, my colleague Laura. And on our far right, Luciano D'Iorio, certified real estate broker. Welcome to all of you here. Really appreciate you coming. Let's start off with some of the, we saw as we were going to break there, we went out in the streets and we asked people, what are some of the reasons why we're struggling? Simon, the language law comes up all the time. What can we do? What's a solution that we can do to work together? Because, protecting Quebec's identity and languages is very important, of course.
Well, what our members tell us, and we represent 24,000 small business owners across Quebec, is that their two top priorities are the tax burden and red tape. And with the language laws comes a lot of red tape.
Right.
So what they are telling us is, of course, that's important to protect the language, but like any other thing, you have to do it simply with a lot of flexibility, because what small business owners don't have is time to comply with endless requirements, and they don't have the money also to comply with those requirements.
So what would you like to see happen then?
Well, what we've told the government in the past is that those requirements for smaller businesses that the government has wanted to implement, they should stay away from that. We think that the current situation is balanced and that the government should keep it like it is right now. We have a certain equilibrium, and definitely small business owners don't want more red tape. They want less.
You mentioned about the stores closing. We see it along Saint Laurent, along Saint-Denis, Mont-Royal, St. Catherine Street. Luciano, you deal with real estate and leasing offices, especially in the downtown area. What are you seeing? I mean, is business coming here or is it leaving?
So for the last while, what we've seen is musical chairs in this city. And this has been going on for 15, 20 years now, is musical chairs. The people, that offices that are here, they're basically, when they're moving to another office, it's not new business that's coming in, it's just existing business. Now, we've had some success stories, and I think that's, we should certainly promote that. And you have organizations like Montreal International that's trying really hard to bring business into this city. And I was actually just at their annual meeting where they've announced certain new players into the city. So there is some positive news, but in general, it's a tenant's market. People that, companies that are here right now are basically benefiting from, real estate that's cheaper than the rest of Canada. And so let's promote that.
Yeah, we'll come back to real estate in just a moment. Jessica, from your point of view, as a recruiter, we look at the unemployment numbers here in Quebec, specifically here in Montreal. They're not very good numbers. How does that reflect on your role here, trying to, attract people to come to Montreal?
Well, my role isn't to attract people to come to Montreal. My role is to help companies to find employees. And what they're looking for, the problem is when people are unemployed, they go into this, a lot can go into a mentality of it's very difficult to find work. And a lot of employers, the issue is they want to hire people that have experience. And without, so it ends up becoming a double-edged sword. So there's also a big impact on the unemployment is the immigrants that are coming here. And CEOs and the decision makers want to hire individuals that have experience and at least have experience within Quebec or within Montreal, because it is a different market, it's a different beast.
Right, but we are seeing people leaving. We were just talking a little bit earlier, Elias describing 4 of his friends, they can't find work here in Montreal. Why are people leaving?
That is also
educated people.
It's educated, and it's also industry related, right? So it depends on which industry you're in regards to not being able to find work. And also it's a lot about connections. Who do you know? Who can help you find a job? What network, what strategies have you taken to find jobs? Because remember, there also are people that are finding jobs. If they weren't, then the over 500 recruiters that are out there would be out of work.
Simon, you wanted to chime in here.
I think there's a big challenge there with the mismatch between what employers need and the training that we give to our workforce and our students. Currently, if you look at the numbers, at the end of 2015, there were 65,000 business owners looking for qualified workers for more than 4 months in their business, and at the same time we have 340,000 people looking for jobs. So there's a big mismatch here between, there's a lot of candidates, available candidates and open spots, but they don't match because what the employers are looking for, the job market is not offering. We are making promises to students and sometimes immigrants and other workers, but it's not what we need in the labor market. So we need to work on that to get the offer and the need better aligned on the job market.
So what markets are we seeing? I mean, he's saying, you know, there are these jobs, but in what markets are we seeing these jobs, especially, Jessica? What is actually thriving right now in this city, in this province?
You can't necessarily make it industry specific because it really is company based. But I would say that if you stepped aside and we didn't look at the Bombardiers and the big public companies, but you actually looked at the smaller businesses, those companies are hiring and they are looking, but they're looking for specified talent. And then also there's a lot of startups that start here in Montreal. If we look at Montreal specifically, there's a lot of startups, and that's in IT. So very technical careers that are being looked at.
The question is, they start up in Montreal, do they stay in this province?
Well, and some of the latest news that we're hearing is we're the worst city for entrepreneurship in Canada. That is a scary thought, you know, for all of us here in Montreal. We're going to take a quick break. I know you have something to say about that, Jessica.
Well, education here is good. There's not a lot of things that are no good here.
Honestly, I can't think of much. I've been around, I've traveled a lot, but this is by far one of the most accommodating places I've ever been to.
There's enough resources to attract more tourism here. It's just if we can provide a bit more service-wise and language-wise for me.
Yeah, people having their say on what they think about some of the issues are here in Montreal and across the province.
No issues at all, according to one man.
Yeah, one guy. There's no
Everything's
issues. Of course, Simon Gaudreault joins us over here. We also have Jessica Glazer and Luciano D'Iorio. Welcome. Thank you guys for taking the time for us here today. We left the break with me sharing some news. So some people are reporting and saying that Montreal is the worst city in Canada for entrepreneurship. Jessica, you look like you had something to say about that before we went to break.
I did, because I actually did a little survey myself with some entrepreneurs that were here in Montreal, and a lot of them actually start here because the rules are so strict that they feel that if they can succeed here, then it's very easy for them to go national and international.
But that's the key. You said start here.
That's what I was
They
saying.
start here.
How do we keep them here, Simon? Or Jessica?
Well, I was talking, just so you understand, I was talking more of they keep their head office here, but to grow.
I
They
see.
end up growing,
Okay.
they can grow
Okay, so they don't
externally.
actually leave. Okay,
Right.
that's good news.
Simon, you've been a co-author on a report about entrepreneurs here in Montreal. What's your take?
That's right, and what we've been looking at is a broad range of indicators, and they unfortunately tell us that it's tougher here than in any other city in Canada. And what can we do? It's quite simple. You look at what small business owners want, and like I said earlier, their top two priorities are the red tape and, of course, the tax burden. And we can definitely improve on that front. If you look at the tax burden, for example, in the city of Montreal, municipal taxes, the tax rate is 4 times for non-residential what it is for residents. We also have the highest provincial taxes in all of Canada, so a little bit of breathing air here will be most welcome. As you know, small business owners, they count every single nickel and dime.
Yeah.
So new money will be definitely needed and very helpful.
You're speaking about taxes, and you know, when we look at the downtown skyline, Luciano, we see the cranes, you know, a lot of condos certainly going up in the downtown area. Are these condos being bought, or is it still a tenant market, as far as you know, in the condos as well?
So on the residential side, as far as I know, the condos, I mean, some of the condos have been sold out. Tour des Canadiens is an example, is 100% sold. And then there's some other condos that are anywhere between 60 to 80% sold.
And are these actual residents, people living in Montreal?
Well, what I'm told is that there's certainly some residents that live in Montreal, and that there's also some investors that are involved. And so this is where it'll be interesting to see over the next few years if these condos actually get occupied or if they're going to be on the resale market very fast.
We mentioned earlier, we're seeing, Laura said Saint Laurent, St. Catherine Street. You're seeing these businesses that are closed. Are there interests in people moving into these and leasing these areas?
So on the retail side, let's just look at the Saint Laurent example, and,
Okay.
and it brings to mind what happened yesterday on Peel Street with a restaurateur on Peel Street, who got a lot of attention and mobilized, I guess, 4 police officers and blue-collar workers to remove his furniture. That's the kind of red tape I think that Simon's talking about that's frustrating to a business owner. There's a street that took a beating over the last year and a half with the construction and deconstruction of that street. So that's Peel Street. Getting back to Saint Laurent, same thing. It's going to take a while for that street to be rebuilt. And of course, we go through pockets of trendy neighborhoods.
Yes.
Right now, Saint Laurent. When I was in school, Saint Laurent was the place to be. Today, it's not necessarily the place to be, but maybe Griffintown is the place to be.
Right.
So along Notre Dame Street West, you see there's the development there. So these things go in phases, and especially when you're looking at restaurants and bars and trendy stores, they'll follow the trends. They'll follow the money.
We've got a minute left here, so I'd like to go to each one of you and just get a last thought. So Simon, last thought on what you're talking taxes. So what do governments need to do? Are they even listening to the issues at all?
For the past 2 years, they've been sending mixed signals. They've lowered taxes for the manufacturing businesses, and at the same time, in 2 years ago in the budget, they said they would increase the tax rate by 50% for small business, for any other small business except for manufacturing and certain other sectors. So they're sending mixed signals. What we need is lower taxes for all small businesses, because small businesses help grow the economy everywhere, in every region and in every sector.
Jessica, the question is, what would we do to make Quebec great again? If there was one thing that you would pinpoint, what do you think should be done?
One thing, I say that we shouldn't quote Trump for making Quebec great again.
I agree with that as well.
But aside from that, I think that it really has to do with the construction, where the retail, if you're dealing with retails, I think that also we shouldn't only look at the public companies, because the small businesses actually, they're not necessarily thriving, but they are plugging away to and support small businesses. That's what I'll say for Quebec.
Luciano?
Let's do a better job at promoting Quebec. Let's do a better job at promoting our bilingualism. I think that's an asset. Trilingualism exists in this city. I mean, certainly let's go and promote that, and let's get the message out there that we're open for business.
A great thought to end the panel on. Thank you all so much for being here. Really appreciate
you.
it. Don't go away. Lots coming up, including Entertainment City and Ria May with a live